Hi everyone. I'm not sure what I did with my recording of how I made my cover for my um, Authentique Voyage, but I am able to share with you how I did it. So here is my cover, which is 8.5 by 8.5 and with a 3-inch spine. And the tutorial that I'm adding to this is the exact same cover, uh, how to make the cover, but it's using red cardstock, and I used it for another album. So it's going to be able to walk you right through on how to make your cover for your ocean or your Voyage album. Again, I apologize for the mix-up here, but I was able to at least find a recording where I had made the album. So if you want to just watch the finish of this tutorial or recording, it will give you the tutorial on how to create your album cover. 8.5 by 8.5, two chipboard pieces, 8.5 by 8.5, and one chipboard piece at 3 by 8.5. And then your cardstock, and you'll need 2 pieces of cardstock cut at 10.5 by 10.5, and a piece of cardstock cut at 6 by 10.5, 6 by 10.5. All right, so we're going to I'm doing the tutorial on the Disney It's a Mouse thing that I made a couple years back and never made a tutorial for. So we're going to start with the cover here. The covers are 2 pieces of cardstock, 8.5 by 8.5, and then your spine is going to be a 3 by 8.5. And I've already got mine cut, and I've got my score tape already on it. To cover your album cover, you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock cut 10.5 by 10.5, and one cardstock cut 6 by 10.5. So let's go ahead and get the cardstock on the card chipboard on our cardstock. Sorry, that was totally came out backwards. So okay, so using the awesome way that Tamara does her albums, I have picked it up and I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and set my 1-inch chipboard markers on here. I am using our Artesian cardstock red from Country Craft Creations, and you can find that on Tammy's online store, countrycraftcreations.com. Score sheets come from there. Chipboard comes from there. I'm using the for this album that I use Echo Park. It's a mouse thing. And then my second album, I used Echo Park Times to Remember, I believe it is. Let me double check. Remember the Magic. Remember the Magic is the other paper collection I used. So, okay, so that's the first one. I'm going to go ahead and do both before I go ahead and show you how I put them down. I tell you, these score sheets are just awesome. I love them. And they make it making your album so much easier and nicer. So I've got my 2 main covers done, and now we're going to do the spine. And on the spine, I do make my page a little bit larger than the 1 inch on each side. I make it 1.5 on the sides and 1 inch on the top from the bottom. And that's going to give me a little bit extra paper for when I add my 3 pieces together. And I'm just lining it up there. Okay, I'll get rid of these. I'm going to go ahead and start with my covers. So all I'm going to do is fold it over and burnish it along the cardstock or the chipboard. On all 4 sides. I'm just going to come along and very gently run it against the side of my chipboard so I've got a nice smooth edge. I'm going to, on my score marks, I'm just going to cut it right up to the chipboard. Cut my 4 corners out. And then I'm going to miter my corners, and all I'm doing is folding that over, resting my scissors up against the corner of the chipboard and cutting it away. Making sure I get all my corners, because I'm always leaving one, so I have to double check. Okay, get rid of those. And I'm just going to make sure that I've got nice smooth edges. Sounds like your dog's getting sick, Hunter. Just adding the glue up against the chipboard and then over. There's my one side of my cover, nice and neat. I'm going to do the same thing for my second one. Cut my corners. And I'm going to miter my corners. Fold that over. Okay, I'm not sure what I did there, but I'm still working on the covers. And I'm just adding my glue to my sides, right along my seam of my paper on my chipboard. Okay, and there's my second one. Let's do the spine. Now the spine we're going to do a little bit different. We're not actually going to cut the corners on the spine. So we're going to go ahead and fold it over just like we did the covers. Okay, so on the other ones we cut out those corners. We're not going to cut these out. We're actually gluing the whole piece down. So I'm just going to fold it over, burnish it to my chipboard, and that on both edges. Okay. And I'm just going to come over here and crease them again. I'm going to come up here, just on the side of my chipboard, and kind of angle it off. On all four sides. Okay, and there we go. Now we're going to add the three pieces together. So I'm going to go ahead and put my score tape right next to my edge there on both sides. And I'm going to use pull this off. I'm just going to add glue right next to the score tape, not on it. Okay. I'm going to take this and I'm going to match it right up, edge to edge. Turn it over and make sure that I burnish it real good. Do the other side the same way. Now, and I didn't cut these pieces, so I need to cut. Our book is 8.5 by 8.5, our album cover. So I'm going to cut these at 8 3/8 by, I'm going to cut it at, I'm going to cut it at 8. And I don't have any more score sheets. Let me see what I have. may be able to piece it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take off these ones first. Actually, I'm going to take it all off. And just gently bringing it over. I'm going to do that on the other side. Okay, and there's your album. And there's the side. Okay, now let's make the hinge for inside the album. My pages are 8, so I'm going to make my hinges 7 7/8. For my hinge, I'm going to score it at 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 1/2. So 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/2, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5. I'll go back and count them now. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 8 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I've got my 5. Starting on my 1 1/4, and then I've got my 1/4. Then I've got my 2 1/2. I'm going to my second half, and I'm putting my score tape down. I'm skipping 2 and putting it on the third one. Skipping 2, putting it on the third one. Skipping 2, putting my tape on the third one. Skipping 2 and putting my tape on the third one. Oops. And then I should have the 1/4 right after that. Okay. And I'm going to fold that over, the first 1/2 inch score over, fold that back. So then I have 1, 2 1/2 inch, and then the tape. I want to fold that second 1/2 inch over onto the tape, and then fold the first one back. Okay, coming back here, I want to fold my 1/4 over, burnish it down. And I'm going to add my art glitter glue on that 1/4 area, not going over the score line. And back, and I'm folding over my hinges. So I've got the 1/4 right there, and then I got to hit my first hinge, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Then I've got the 1/4 line here, which I want to fold that over. Okay. And I've got excess too much over here, so I'm going to mark it. And it's about a little over 1/2 inch. I'm going to bring it up to 3/4, and I'm going to cut off the 3/4. And then I'm going to add my art glitter glue again, not on that 1/4, just on the other side of that score line. I'm going to fold that over there. There's my hinge. And I'm not going to attach it to my book until I decide what I'm going to do with this album, as this is an extra album. So I'm just going to set that off to the side.